Okay, here we are back in Maya, and let's go ahead and do our pass of the web ball and the webs. See if we can get this done quickly, and then we can get it into game so we can begin assessing. I actually realized that I'd like, or I wanted to change around the way I'm handling the webs a little bit. Um, I just found a more efficient way for what I wanted at the time when I made the webs. I wasn't necessarily sure what I wanted to do yet, or I didn't have I didn't have my idea down pat yet. But now that I do, I have a better understanding of what I want out of the webs. And so I decided to rework the rig of the webs a little bit. So this has no bearing on like our actual animation, the way we approach things. Is just a slight technical change from my specific standpoint and point of view and what I'm working on. It shouldn't change anything you're working on, but I will let you know what I did in order for you guys to kind of understand what I wanted out of this, but also if you guys need to make changes also. Okay. So if you guys remember, this is my rig file, my new rig file. If you guys remember, the webs were basically just one long FK chain, right? And I only had two. So now knowing that I'm going to need three, now that I have my idea, I made three, but I also made it a way, 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 way simpler. So let me just move web balls out of the way. Okay, and I'll just move one of these. Alrighty. So as you can see, it's a very, very, very simple rig. It's just the cylinder. And it's basically just a cylinder that I can stretch around like this, right? And I have sub controls. That way, if I need to constrain one, I can, which I will, and which you've seen. And I've got three of these. And so what I did was I added these joints and I added these meshes to my skeleton mesh. And I also added these joints to my anim export set. And I already went ahead and did that in Unreal, and I'll show you guys the results. Okay. So if we go to Unreal, what I did first was I exported this as an FBX, just like we did the first time, nothing new. And I went into Unreal and I went into the skeleton mesh set. I obviously overrode the FBXs in here, the skeleton mesh FBX, and then I hit re-import mesh, and you can see now that I don't have the long web, it's just those cylinders. The skeleton updated also when I hit re-import. And then after that, after I knew that like I got my skeleton mesh updated, I needed to update my animation, right? So same thing through here. I went in and selected my anim export set. I exported selection in FBX just like I normally would. I replaced this FBX from my Maya project to my Unreal project, and then I hit re-import. And then you can see now that the web is updated properly, and I'll go through how I set it up and everything. I just did the first one as a test to make sure it works, and then I can look inside my sequence, or rather my level, which is if I hit play, you can see that there's the web right there, and the web ball. I forget that this is the first time we kind of looked at it together. Okay, so let's jump back into Maya so I can show you guys exactly what I did. I chose a frame that I wanted to start from first, and I think it was like frame 13 or 14, somewhere around here. And you can see that I've got one of my web meshes rig. This is the parent control, and I parent constrained, here we go, the child control to the wrist. So this basically stays in one spot, and I'm able to move this as freely as I want. And then the bottom is attached to his hand. So you can see I'm kind of faking this a little bit just to get the angle that I want. And then as soon as I don't need it anymore, I just kind of, I gotta get it off screen as quick as I can. I'll probably adjust that a little bit just so it's a little bit more clear, but you can see that I'm basically faking a lot of this. And this is probably how I wouldn't approach it in production. This is basically just for this purpose. But it's just for demonstration purposes, so this is totally okay. And then you can see for the rest of these, or sorry, not for the rest of these, but for the rest of the time after I don't use this particular web, I basically just keep it way off screen. And if we look in Unreal, actually, we should be able to see it. Let me save this real quick. Let me go to Unreal. Let's go to the anim. There we go. So yeah, I think it's up there somewhere. Oh, there it is. Okay, cool. Yeah. So from here, I'm going to version up and then let's do the other webs. That way you can see me walk through the entire process. And I'm going to try and walk through this as quick as I can. That way we can get our Unreal capture into SyncSketch. We can put together our polish list and we can see what it is we have bandwidth for to action on. Okay, cool. Let's go through and do our other web. So I think I want to start maybe here. I just want to get a good sense of what the web is going to look like in its like ideal kind of a pose. So I want the webs to be emanating from his hands and then he's going to be letting them go. So I'm probably going to do the opposite of what I did on my first one. I'm probably going to constrain both these parent controls, the topmost controls in the hierarchy, to his hands. And I'll probably hide them for the rest of the duration of like when he's not using them. So let me get to the parent group first. We'll do one hand at a time. Let's do this one. Oh, and actually, let me zero this out first. There you go. That way they're in line with each other. Cool. And then let's see, where is his hand? His foot, wrist. Yeah. Okay, cool. So I'm going to take the control group and then I will shift select the wrist. Oops. Actually don't know if I can do that. I just tried it for the first time. Okay, let's go to the wrist then. All right, sweet. And then I'm going to take this control group and I'll take this wrist and then I'll align it. Okay. Then from here, I think this is where I'll do my constraint. So I'll take the hand and then I'll constrain the null group, and then I'll get my offset in this control here. -90. Oops, sorry. 90. Okay, so let's see what this looks like. I just want to design the final frame first. Maybe a little wider. I'll adjust the arm if I need to, and I probably will, but that's okay. We can always do that later. Let me adjust the scale of this. Maybe 3.5? No. No, 4.5. That looks good. Okay. And then I can take this control now and just bring it out again. And then I'm going to fake it a little bit. Maybe I'll scale it. We'll see. Because I do want that foreshortening to make it feel really dynamic. I'm going to see if I can just get it with position though. We'll see. This might get a little finicky because it's so close to the lens. So if I have to, I'll bring it down like a little bit and then I'll just scale it. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to just like keep this in place. Yeah, because I want to see what it looks like here. I'm going to have to do a little bit of counter animating, but that's okay. But like I can always, since I copied the X-form, I'm just going to paste X-form big frames over here. Oh, do I want this a little wider? Maybe like this? Let's see what that looks like on the back end. Oh yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay, let's do that. So paste big frames. All right, not bad, not bad, not bad. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to set keyframes here, and then actually let's get a selection set for all these. These two, this is R web 02. Oh, and I think this is actually supposed to be R web 01. This is the first web that I did. Okay, cool. So let's set a key here. And then where was that? 54. Oh, I got to add these other ones, excuse me. Then let's kind of work our way backwards real quick so I can animate like the webs coming out. And then I'm actually going to turn these webs like flat white so it's a little bit easier to see. You grab the geo web mesh. I'm just going to assign a new material, surface shader. Yeah, there we go. That way they're a little more obvious. All right. Okay, so let's work our way backwards from here. So I'm just going to make sure this is like generally pointing in the correct direction. So I'll probably rotate this a little bit just so it's like that. Yeah, okay, cool. And then let me bake this. Copy and then paste bake frames. Yep, cool. And then let's go to the top one. I'll try and do it on the parent control. So let's see, WebO2. So before this, let's go to the bind pose. Sorry, not the bind pose, but like the default pose. So here, let's zero everything out. And yep, okay. And then I'm going to offset this by 90, and I'm just going to make it really small and then hide it inside the hand. Cool. And then I'm going to make this stepped, or I'll just copy this key and then keep it up until here. Yeah, cool. Actually, it might maybe up to here. Or sorry, one frame before, and then I'll probably have to animate this out. Yeah, okay. Cool. So let's start with this one. Let's put this back in its spot. Just bake frames. And then let's take these two. Yeah, so I'll have to adjust maybe at least the wrist a little bit, just so it's pointing in the direction it should. So this I'll probably move. I'm gonna fake this again over 2 frames, and then let's make sure this contact point here is good. So by here, let's find a good place for this. Somewhere here. Above the hand. I'll most likely have to paste back the other controller. I just want to make sure that this is like at least aligned somewhat. Yeah, okay. Got to kind of do this in a roundabout way. Cool. You can always clean that up later. For now, let's see. Let's just keep this here for like forever. Not forever, but. And then for this, I think I'm going to animate it out of his hands pretty quickly. If I'm going over the top, I think it has to be like this. Yeah, so probably something like this. I'll keep this linear, and then I'm going to paste back these keys all the way to 68 to make it so it goes in the direction that it's... Oh, no. Probably lost it a bit too much. Okay, I don't need these keys. Now, what I'll most likely do is just bring it. I'll reset it. I'll probably just actually copy this key. What I'm afraid of is somewhere around here, it might give me a very strange in-between when I export it into Engine, but we will see. If it does, then we can always deal with it because it's frame -1. We don't need that. Oops. Let me show the web ball. Cool. All right. There's one web, and then I'm going to version up, and then let's do the other one. Okay. So I think we did that web on frame 44. Let's do the same for this one. And then, okay. And then where's the parent group? Oops. Or memory. Did I end up? No, I didn't. Okay, cool. Okay. So let's now go to the left wrist. Then align this parent group of the web control to the wrist. There we are. Try that again. I think I got the wrong control to this. Oh, no, I got the right one. Oh, I think it's because of the scale. That's okay. Let's do it here instead. I think I did do this on the -1 last time. I forgot. Yeah. Okay. This one, then align. Oops. Sorry. Opposite way. Web group, then the wrist, then align. That's why there's an offset on the control. There you go. Okay. Let's do our parent constraint. Get my offset here. Then while I have it, I'm going to make a selection set. This is LWeb here, and then what I'll most likely do is scale it itty bitty. Oops. I'll copy that key over onto frame 0. That way we don't see it. And then on frame 44, actually, this is where we see it. Frame 41. I'll set a key on frame 40. But then on frame 44, this is where we want to design the web just like we did last time. So let's see. And then let's see, what scale did I... 0.45 is what I settled on. So let's put this up to 45. You could do 90 this way. And then let's just see what it looks like once we pull this control out. Well, there we go. It's not bad, actually. Let's see. Okay, where's that other frame? I'm going to copy the X form here, and then I want to see... no, not quite. I kind of want it to be, like, closer to the camera. Yeah, like something like that. Way more dynamic. Yeah, like it's stuck like right on the outsides of the camera. So let's see what that looks like over here. Oh, that looks better too. Okay. Let's go back, and then I'll take this control. And then where is that? Here we go. Frame 54. I'm going to make sure that this is... I'm going to have to paste back the parent key, but that's okay. No problemo. Let's get it aiming in the general vicinity. Okay, not bad. All right, let's get that one again. And then let's animate the before first. Okay, so I want it to come out a little bit delayed from the left one. I'm just going to copy the keys here. Frame 44. I'll just paste the X form. Oops. Okay, and then let's make this a little bit more delayed. 42, let's have it still travel. So I'm going to blend to neighbor a little bit, and then probably put this back into position. Blend to my next neighbor a little bit. I should probably blend to world space, but that's okay. Okay, and then let's do the back end where he lets go. So here, move it a little bit. I'm going to make this linear. Not so concerned about the end at the moment, or like the ending, meaning like this, the other end of the web, sorry. So I'll paste back my X frame, or my X form, excuse me. Cool. And then let's make sure to get rid of this now. What we can do is, I'm just going to fake this. Let's get it out of here. LWeb. On this next one, I'll probably just put it like really far out and down. Parent one? Yeah. Great. And then I'll reset this. And then from here, I'll just copy the X form and then paste it. Cool. So let's see. Oop. Let's start frame 0. Cool. There we go. Got our web ball and we got our webs. All right. I'm going to version up. I'm going to do my export process and then get a capture out of Unreal and put it into SyncSketch. So, okay, so we're not in SyncSketch, but I wanted to show you guys that I run into something a little bit unexpected while getting this into Engine. So if I scrub through my animation here, everything looks fine, right? But we have to remember that when we're importing into Engine, we're importing at a different FPS, but also in our DCC in Maya, right, our digital content creation software, we are snapping to whole frames. And it doesn't work like that in Engine, right? So if I turn off snap to whole frames in my settings, you'll see that when the webs come out, there's these very weird keyframes in between. And so I was getting a bunch of strange results like so, right? This is because the joint hierarchy was kind of fighting with one another. And so what I did as a solve, I'm going to turn on whole frames again so that my settings don't save accidentally. What I did as a solve was I changed the rig one more time, but the only thing that I did, I basically kept everything the same. I just unparented the top joint from the bottom joint when working with the web rigs. Okay, so the web ball stayed the same, Spider-Man stayed the same. The only difference was that I unparented these joints. That way they would just be free-floating joints, kind of just children of the joint group. And in my latest animation, which is this one, right, version 30 versus version 28, here in version 30, you can see that I've got basically the same exact animation, right? I basically just copied the X forms from version 28 to version 30. And if you'll notice, when I turn off my snap to whole frames in this one, you'll see that the results are a lot more predictable, right? So I went through and exported this and imported into Unreal, just like I normally would. Nothing about that process has changed at all. It's basically just changing with the only changes I made are, sorry, in the rig of the webs, nothing with the character at all. Again, things that you probably won't run into, but I'm kind of glad that I am actually able to showcase this to you guys. So I had to update my scale mesh because the joint hierarchy changed. It updated my skeleton as well. And then I also exported a new anim file. So we can see like the webs behave as predicted or as hoped. And then if we look into our level, play. Oh, we got a flying sphere there. Okay, cool. So when we look in our level like this, it works like so. Okay, so let's get a capture of the latest and get this into Sync Sketch and we can put together our polish list. Okay, here we are in Sync Sketch, and let's go ahead and go through and see what we can find that we can improve on in the time that we have remaining. So I'm just going to try and go through and do a general pass of anything I'd like to adjust, anything I'd like to clean up or polish, and then I'll probably go back through and try and assess what I can and can't address. Leave it on loop for a little bit. Okay, and I think I'll start with like bigger ticket items. Not really liking this transition right here. I think I can introduce more. Let's use green, like in red. I think I can introduce a little bit more of a better breakdown as well as like better lead and follow. So let's say, for example, I don't mind this, but I think it's from here. So I've got like this gesture here in the rib cage and then the torso, but then the way I get to here, I don't quite like. Um, you would think try and use a gesture. Yeah, okay. So I think I'd like to try and involve the torso a little bit more on this pull upward. Yeah, so I think if I can, I'd like to try and get maybe some kind of a wing to kind of pull upward here, but get this kind of a gesture in the torso. And I'm going to see if I can straighten out the arm a little bit more. I don't know if I'll be able to see it from this side, but I do want to make it feel like he's kind of pulling himself up like that. And then what I'll most likely have to do here is bring the head back. Begin to level it out, I think. So I think the challenge might be getting the cog back this way. Let's see. Let me go through and get a spacing chart of just the cog and see what's happening first. So got these frames here and then here. I'll kind of trace the cog. Now let's look at it in ghosting. Yeah, so it's flattening out quite a bit. And we can see up to that point, it's going in an arc. I'm just moving this way. I want to see if I can get this to be more out like this. I think I want it like out here somewhere. Traveling more in an arc. I actually want this one probably further. Cool. And that should influence my line of action also. Somewhere I'll be able to reverse it. Cool. And then I think also through this movement, I think I can get a little bit more drag. Let's use a different color here. And get a little bit more drag out of this arm. That way both arms aren't kind of going up at the same time. Because we can see this movement here. This is coming down at the same time this is coming up. So I think the move might be to drag this down more. This goes down. So this arm goes down first. And then this arm can come up. Then I think I would try and do it in an over arc maybe, depending on whether that might feel a little bit too forced. We'll see. That's what I have. And then I think I can get a little bit more separation in these legs too. So let's use a different. Cool. And then I think on this web ball, I think I just need to finesse this a little bit more. I did this pretty quickly, and like the recoil of all of this, it's all kind of moving together, which I don't like. I'm going to have to break this up a little bit. I'm going to see if I can get somewhat of a better lead and follow here and a better, some kind of a breakdown here. I don't mind the arms so much, but I think I need to somewhere here kind of get the gesture. This one might be kind of tough, but I'm going to try. Okay, I'm going to see what can be done about that section. It does go by pretty quickly, so I'm going to try not to touch it too much. It doesn't bother me as much as this first section here. This one I'm feeling pretty good about actually. So I like how the arms are just a little bit offset from one another. We need to feel the tension there, so we need to straighten the arms, and like there's a little bit of offset. Like this, the arm on screen left is continuing to grow while we do this, so that's okay with me. And I think it's important that the legs kind of move together here, but I don't think we need them to shoot outwards. So we have them pretty contained to the body here, but they kind of shoot outwards this way in this pose here, or going back straight again. So I'm going to try and fix this one in particular. And it spent quite a bit of time on the contact of the feet and stuff, so I'm not too worried about that. Maybe one more frame here of red, or maybe just a little bit more toe left behind. That way this leading edge is kind of coming down. Cool. And then I think on this back end, it might just be cleaning up some arcs and making sure that these aren't moving together. So you can see that there's a line that's kind of going from knee to knee here. Starts, I think, somewhere here. Yeah, I need to break this up a little bit more. Yeah, and I really don't like how it's kind of like forming and rotating all together. I need to break that up for sure. The upper body I'm pretty happy with. There's a bobble in the head right there. Then I need to do more finessing on this frozen moment. So I can't just let it die. Need to continue to move through this. Somewhat of moving holds. There's a bobble in the head, like right. Looks down, up, down again. So I think I need to fix this one. Or this one, sorry. And then I think some polish on the webs might be good, just so they're not as distracting. Let me use another color. The way that it comes out, this is a pretty big jump. If you see the leading edge that connects to the edge of the frame, that's a pretty big jump versus like this stays the same. And I think it might just be the angle change. So if this is like straight down here, you can see how it tails off. I think I need to make it so it's okay. There's definitely some cleanup to be done here on the contact here. That's all well and good. We can do that very last. Not too worried about that. And I think on this one, I think I'm going to want a little bit more left behind. And then there's obviously a lot of like Benbow stuff that I can get into also. Let's use. And there's a point where somewhere here where the torso feels kind of strange. Got it kind of looking upward here. And I'll use a box to kind of demonstrate the plane that I'm looking at. Right. That's our rib cage and that's our torso. It's kind of staying that way before being pitched up. And it's not for long because I like how it's basically our antic for the snap forward. Cool. Okay, yeah. But definitely gonna start with like just general arcs in the limbs and stuff. So let's go through and create our list. Okay. So just arcs for the limbs for sure. Start. You remember that's part of my polish list. And then I'm gonna fold in like some leading edge stuff. Just based off of wherever I see it. And then it's going to be really helpful to look at the whole performance and silhouette and see if there's anything jumping out at me. And then I think the next part I definitely need is the finesse on this frozen moment at the very end. And I'm trying to order these in terms of importance, but also in terms of like what will give me, again, the most bang for my buck, right? So this frozen moment, this overlap refinement that I need to do, I think I'm definitely gonna have to go through the web stuff because the web, in some of these poses, they just look broken. So I'd much rather have something look rough than look broken, right? So um, web, or sorry, gripping or grip. web. Cool. And then let's see what else I can do. Flush. Web swing. Definitely do all that. Okay, so these legs at the end for sure. And then I think I'm going to see what I can do about the overlap on this first part. So legs at end. Overlap. On swing to web ball. Okay, so that is a list of 7. It's pretty good already. I'm gonna see how long it's gonna take me to get through this list, and if I end up working through this list faster than I would have hoped, I can go through and go back and see what else I can add. Bend bows are not necessarily a make or break, so I've got to kind of take that into account. This isn't necessarily a make or break either. I definitely think like this needs more attention and this needs more attention. Um, the head bobble and like the negative space in the shapes here and like the bend bows, again, it'll work without it. I think these other items are probably bigger ticket, meaning I'll get more value out of it. So for the time being, let's go with this list. Let's jump back into Maya and then we will begin addressing these one by one. Okay, here we are back in Maya and let's go through our polish list now. Excuse me. So as a reminder, first thing I'm going to go through is a pass on the arcs. I'm going to try and approach everything as an entire pass on the entire shot. And then I'm going to go through each of the items one by one. So a complete pass on the arcs, complete pass on leading edge, so on and so forth. Okay, so that's a pass on. I'm kind of doing arcs and leading edge at the same time. They're so closely related that I kind of look for them both at the same time. The field guide really helps me to kind of track not only the path of action that's like in camera space for the main core of the body being the cog, the chest, and the head, but it also helps me track like the leading edges depending on the lead and the follow and the direction of the motion, right? So for moving screen right to screen left, let's say for the torso, the leading edge would be along his back. But then as we are moving from left to right, the leading edge, let's say, of the foot would be on the right side. So those changes can be somewhat difficult to track if you don't have somewhat of like a 2D grid laid over it, just like the field guide. So I personally like having that on at all times while I'm doing this. And you can see that I have all of these arcs adjustments on layers. That way, if I end up liking them, I can bake them down or I can just keep them as layers depending on your workflow. I'm going to go through and do maybe a little bit of waist, not entirely sure because he's in the air. Adjusting the waist could have like really big knock-on effects on the knees and the feet. So I might just go through and do the hands and the feet next, and then we can move on to number 3 on our polish list would be addressing the frozen moment at the end, and then we can see how much of these we'll be able to get. Okay, cool. I think I've got a good pass on the arcs and the leading edges. We will now move on to the next item in our list, which is, let's go ahead and cross these off one by one. We got our arcs. Make this a little bigger. Got our arcs and got our leading edge, and then we'll work now through this part of the frozen moment at the end. So I'm going to go back to the base anim layer, and then I'm probably going to turn on maybe the camera bump because I think, yeah, so that adds that. And you notice, or if you notice, I turned off the camera bump layer in order to clean up the arcs properly without messing with the camera too much. I want to make sure it's clean first before I add any additional movement to the camera. That way it'll just feel solid. I muted the web ball layer also since I want to be able to do that pretty soon. The adjustments, it still doesn't look too bad, but the part that I want to focus on now is this moment of the frozen moment right here. So we start somewhere around frame 70 and then go to 120 and just make sure that I am not letting the motion die here. Cool. So I'll save right here in version up. This will be a good place to kind of like start a new save file. Okay, I think that'll do for our frozen moment. Now, next would be to refine the moment of the overlap of the web ball. Let's version up and then we can do that next. Okay, cool. So let's go to the web ball layer and start from there. Okay, cool. There's our web ball. I did a little bit of refinement on the camera when the web ball hits the camera and when he kicks the camera also. Let's move on to our next polish item. So, sorry, making me dizzy a little bit. Web ball is done. Now let's move on to the grip on the web and the web swing. Let's see, the legs at the end. I kind of addressed that when I went through and the arcs and the leading edge. So that was kind of a twofer up there. And overlap on the swing to the web ball. Ah, yeah. Okay. So I kind of addressed this also when going through the arcs and the leading edge. It was, apologies, I was a little bit on autopilot. So let's go back through, make sure our webs are being gripped correctly, or at least seem to be. And yeah, we can do another export afterwards and take a look in game. But let's version up first, and then we'll take a pass at the webs. Okay, cool. I think we're at a good spot. Pretty much addressed all of the notes. Let's get this into game and let's see how this looks. Okay, here we are back in Unreal. Everything's been re-imported. I re-imported my anim. I re-imported my camera here just by right-clicking and hitting import and going to FBX. And when I play in my level, we can see the most up-to-date version of our character intro. Cool. So I think there's like a few more minor things I would like to polish if I had the time. Some things with the fingers, probably some things with the toes. But I think I've hit a good spot. And if I can, and I think I'll be able to, I'll make a few more polishing notes and a few edits that I'll be able to share with you in our closing video after this lesson.